Rise for invocation by Pastor Ken Sharp, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we love you today. We thank you for this opportunity to gather to handle business. We thank you for the ability to understand and to make good decisions. I ask that you would help us all have wise choices and the betterment of our community at heart. Well, Lord, we thank you for all your blessings and your mercy and your hand of protection today. Give us wisdom, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Tim.
Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs.
Present.
Councilman Bastian.
Here.
Councilman Stiltner.
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. All are present. We have a full quorum. With that, item 4 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I always do this with kind of mixed emotions because I'm always glad to see the data. But the reason why we do this is always tough. Come on up. Before I present this, I'll go ahead and read the proclamation into the record. Whereas domestic violence remains a pervasive issue across Volusia County, the United States, and the world, with implications for personal and community health. And whereas domestic violence does not discriminate and prevalent in every community, regardless of age, race, disability, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas in Volusia County, approximately 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner every minute, and the need for safe house continues to be rated as survivors' most urgent need. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates members of our community's privacy, security, and humanity in the form of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse. And whereas research shows that by creating communities where people are connected, supportive, and care for one another, it can reduce the incidence of domestic violence. And whereas every day in Port Orange, individuals and organizations play a part in supporting people impacted by domestic violence, providing services including therapeutic, legal, educational, housing advocacy, and medical services. Therefore, I, Donald A. Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, proclaim the month of October 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in Port Orange, I urge all of our residents to become aware of this epidemic and become involved in efforts to prevent and respond to domestic violence and recognize the impact that domestic violence has on our community. And with my signature and the seal of the city, it is so declared in this place, and I will come and present it. The only way this serious scourge is addressed is by the good people of this community and being there with. We can't stop it all the time, but when it does happen, we have to be there, and I appreciate everybody's efforts in this regard.
Thank you, and I want to let you know that my counterpart from Smyrna Beach is here to give us the support, and also Officer Vines.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we
Can you help us?
follow Rule 1, hang out with the beautiful people.
Thank you. Good to see you.
See you next week.
Yes, you will.
Or sooner.
If not sooner, it's gonna be
If
a lot
not sooner, that's right.
Thank you for your work. Thank you.
With that, item 5, public comments on items that are on the consent agenda. Anyone? You good, Robert? Good. Okay. Item 6, approval of the agenda for the evening. Reed, you got something for us?
Yes, I'd like to pull item 10 from consent tonight.
So, removing item 10 from consent with a motion to approve the remainder of the agenda.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda, removing item 10 from consent, and a proper second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda for the evening is approved. May I have a motion for the approval of the balance of the consent agenda?
Move to approve consent items 7, 8, 9, and 11 through 17.
Second.
We have a motion, a proper second. Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Items 7 through 9 and 11 through 17 are approved, 5-0. Item 10 has been pulled from consent. Reed, what you got for us on that one?
Yeah, this is one of my, one of the businesses in town that I do business with, and therefore I need to abstain, so.
Okay. Can I have a motion for approval of item 10?
Move to approve item 10 on consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second because Reed is specifically abstaining. I'm going to ask for a roll call on this one.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley.
Abstain.
Mayor Burnett, excuse me.
Yes, 4-0. Brings us to public participation. Tracy, do I have any? That would be a yes. Let's hear from Frank Rapino. Yes. Come on up. Right there, just tell us who you are, where you live, and what's on your mind.
Yeah, thank you for letting us attend your meeting. And I'm Frank Rampino. I'm the president of the HOA at Briarwood Estates here in Port Orange. Very nice community, and you guys do a great job, the municipals and everybody else, the mayor. Got to give him an applause. He supports a lot of my organizations. I also belong to Rolling Thunder. I'm on the board. So I came here today because it's important that we do attend these meetings, and I come with, questions and concerns of people that live in my community. And as I said, with all the catastrophes we had with hurricane stuff, I think the town did an excellent job in responding, the emergencies and everything else. But there's some other stuff that maybe he's not aware of, and I did bring it up to some of the public work people, and I know they were very busy, but in our community, on Normandy, we have a canal there. And when I first moved here, it was always dredged and manicured and always able to get the body of water. And for the last 2 years, it hasn't been maintained. And the last hurricane we had, we got a significant amount of damage at Briarwood because the lake overflowed, because the canal overflowed. And I know because of the hurricane, it was hard to, see what was going to happen, and we had the fluxing of water and stuff. But the canal needs to be maintained. We have a dead-end street that has no flood wall there. It's only 4 feet high, where the other side in the private community of Normandy, it's 6 feet high. So I think I'm just here to ask if we can get somebody to pay some attention to this canal. And the canal, and I understand with the hurricane, the Halifax ran in, not much we could do. But like this rain we just had, myself and Israel were riding around in the storm, mounting, and it came right to the top. Part of the problem is it's not being dredged, and the grass is not being cut, and it's too low. It's got to be on our side, brought up, maybe a bearing wall there or something. So if I can get some attention from the public work people and work with you guys, we'd really appreciate it. And there again, we're very happy to live in Port Orange. It's a great community.
Okay,
Yes, I'm Israel with him.
come on up.
My name is Israel Rivas. I'm the vice president of the HOA. Our other concern in our areas are Isabel Street and the other street that's next to us they're from the county. Speeding there is terrible. All my neighbors complain about it. Cars going into the next community just go by there as fast as they can, and we've talked to our management, and they say they called the police and they've been trying to do something about it. We would like to see what the city could do about that problem, the speed bumps or any other way to deter the velocity in that street. The other thing is, it was brought to me today, one of my neighbors, theft. They've been stealing a lot in our area. They come around and they steal the yard stuff. Anything you leave in your yard, in a car porch, they will take it. And up to now, I think we have 4 complaints in the police station, and the community, sometimes they come to him and me, and I could say we have like 7 or 8 more complaints. We would need that to be attended to. And anything you guys could help us with, we would really appreciate it, especially with the lighting area. We have a problem with lighting. There's a lot of dark areas. Every house has a lamp up in the front of the yard and has to have it on, but it's not enough. And
The public roads.
It's- yeah.
Because we're not a gated community, because Port Orange roads, county roads go through us, and people try to beat the train and cut through us at speed. So that's why we want to put like speed bumps maybe, and also lighting, because it's really dark.
okay, well, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. I'm going to pass both your cards down to the city manager. So
Okay, thank you.
He has your contact information on the cards, so
Thank you.
thank you. Tracy, have any others? Okay, thank you. With that, council comments. Why don't we start with our newest, Mr. Grubbs. What you got this week?
I'm going to say it was nice to see that things were maintained when I came back. I've been gone for the past week, and in that past week of travel, it allowed me to visit other cities in the Midwest and looking at some parks. And we have some ideas for parks and recreations that we talked about for the trails, biking paths, and things of that nature. So this is an ongoing thing that we've talked about before, dealing with initiative bonds coming up. But food for thoughts, you know, as far as overpasses and things of that nature, as far as walkways to be able to maintain for our kids and the elderly. Roads are busy, and as we know, the roads are going to get busier, and we can try to slow it down as much as we can. But some of the options is actually adding walkability passes above those roads. So pictures are coming. Okay.
Reed?
Oh, some synergy here. I mentioned to Wayne, don't know how I stumbled across this, but there's a city that has a really cool Parks and Rec app. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I actually sent it over to him, and I asked him to look into how we'd go about adding one of those to our city for notifying parents of changes in schedule. You know, with all the rain we've had this week, a lot of sports have had to be relocated, moved, rescheduled, canceled. And so I asked him to start looking into that.
Just 15 inches of rain.
Yeah,
It's
just
not like
15 inches. So, but that actually brings me to my other thing I was going to talk about is I want to again applaud Public Works and everyone for the stormwater progress they're making, because we had over 5 inches of rain on Saturday, and I know it's a long battle, and I know there's a lot, you know, it's always going to be changing. But I went out and searched some of the roads that I'd found that were covered over with water one afternoon, and there was no water to be found. And so I think that's a testament to all the different things they're trying. And that leads me to my third thing about the things they're trying. There was a specific pump put up in a specific location where somebody decided that they didn't like it, I guess, and they decided to turn it off. We couldn't, no way to prove that, but that's at least the way it seemed. So then we went and found another way to secure the key where they couldn't just go over and turn the thing off, and someone decided to cut the fuel line, and that is criminal. And I don't know, I have no way to tell you who's doing it, and I know that we're trying to figure all of those things out. But our staff is working really hard after what happened to us last year to figure out solutions to make sure that we protect homes. And they are trying different things all over the city in different areas that were affected, particularly to make sure that we don't have standing water and things or any kind of flooding concerns when we have rain like we've had for the last week. It is criminal to tamper with city equipment like that. And why you would do that when all that our staff is trying to do is help you and your neighbors is beyond me. But I just want to make sure that anyone, if they see this, they know we are looking, and at some point I hope we catch you, because staff is working way too hard to improve things to have somebody come along and do that. I'm just extremely disappointed that anyone would take that approach. So, but I just want to applaud staff for all those efforts again, because we're seeing progress, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Scott, what you got for us this week?
Just want a quick comment for the two gentlemen that spoke a few minutes ago. I had another resident in that particular area down there contact me a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if it's the same canal or not, but a lot of those canals down there actually belong to the county, not the city. And it's the county's responsibility to maintain them because they're not ours. And I have passed that information on to Councilman Reinhardt with the county council as well. So I know that he's trying to work on that, so. just wanna pass that on.
We'll have staff
Sure.
double check to make sure that's the
Yep.
case, but if that's the case, then we'll do our
And
best to
that's
hold the
kind of what I
county.
was gonna ask. Are
We'll
there-
hold them accountable.
Are there, because there's HOAs down there too, are there any
some of
HOA
it's private stuff, too.
maintained? So that, I mean, that throws a wrench in it too if the HOA isn't doing their
That's all I
thing.
got.
Okay. Drew, what you got?
Somebody raised it.
That's you.
Yeah, okay. Only thing I had, I was gonna follow up on that, but, just wanted to, make a mention. We had, over the past week or two, we lost two longtime city volunteers that served us in, volunteering on board capacities. One, Richie Barker, was a, I think both him and Frank were planning commission members. And so just wanted to send our condolences out at this time because they both passed within I think within a week of one
Rich
another.
Barker and Frank Crooks.
And Frank
within
Crooks.
Just a couple of days of each other.
Yeah, within a couple of days, and it was just within the past week. So just wanted to notice that we, appreciated their service and make mention. I don't have the obituaries or anything to read in, but I just wanted to acknowledge them and
Thank you.
offer condolences.
Indeed. That was shocking on both counts.
Yeah,
But
very.
both of them, I appreciate their service to the city.
Absolutely.
And not just as planning commission members, but in all the other things they did as well. And
Sure.
Frank was still very, very involved in a lot of different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, it wasn't just planning commission. They did a lot of things.
Yep. With that, my comments actually were going to be just that. So, you talked about rain. We got a lot going on. Special reports, report
you
from
want-
campers. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I meant to mention, did you want to mention Family Days coming up?
Family Days? Is that a thing in this town?
October
Oh,
12th
yeah.
through the 15th.
Right around the corner.
Well, yeah, you're correct. We're not going to have another meeting before Family Days. So not this weekend, but next weekend is Family Days coming up, Thursday through Sunday. It's at the 12th through
12th through
the
the 15th.
15th. Looking forward to that. Usually we have about 70,000 visitors to City Center over that weekend. Carnival will be in place. That was one of the reasons why I got moved into October, so that there will be the carnival. But you can visit Port Orange Community Trust on both Facebook and on their webpage to find out more information about all the wonderful offerings that are going to be through that 4 festive day weekend. Looking forward to it. Good call, Scott. With that, special reports. Item 19, report from Camper Sports at the Cypress Head Golf Course. More good news, except that you can't operate when it's raining, but other than that.
Yeah.
Underwater golf?
Yeah. Well, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Yeah, there's not been a lot of golf played over the weekend. We kind of ended fiscal year 23 as we started. Started with a hurricane, ended with a monsoon, so it wasn't the best ending, but we still had a good month. We still had a good year. So there's lots of good news to report, and the grass is very green and tall. We finally got to mow it today, so Darren and his crew are working hard to get it back in tip-top shape. But as far as financially, the golf course is doing great. We've been breaking records with revenues, and year-to-date through August, we're over budget by $164,000, over prior year by $175,000. So we're having a good year, and our payroll is a little over with additional payroll and services that we've been offering, and our operating expenses a little bit over, but our total net income is still $100,000 over budget. So that's really good news. We played about almost 53,000 rounds. We haven't really finalized September yet, but it's looking like 53,000 in that neighborhood for rounds. It's a lot of golf. So, but there's still tee times available, so we could sell some more. But we're talking about that. We did make a new hire recently. We hired Leslie House. She's our new sales and marketing director, taking Reggie's place. She started on September the 12th. She's a great addition. She's going to provide a lot of energy, and she's very happy to be part of the team. So was hoping to have her here tonight, but something came up. But try to get her here to meet you all in the next meeting. We won highlights for the course. We won the Best of Volusia Award again this year. I believe that's the 13th time in the last 14 years. So it's very prestigious award, and we went and celebrated. Our team went and celebrated that awards night, and so that's a nice little badge to have. And we know that we are. Everybody tells us our course conditions are the best around. So we're very pleased with what the team is doing. And despite 30 some inches of rain in the last 4 months, the course is in great shape. The bunkers are washed out. As soon as we push them, we'll push them back up and put a lot of hard work and effort into that. It'll rain again and they'll wash out again. So hence we have that line item in our capital expense request, and we're looking forward to doing some work on those in the near future. But other than the bunkers, the tee to green, the playing lines, the fairways and greens are in excellent shape. Tournament inquiries are still constantly coming in. We're operating some nice events, although we had one rained out Saturday. But they're still coming in nicely. Golf shop sales are crushing it. Year to date, exceeding budget by $174,000. A lot of that's due to our raffles, our daily raffles, and also our Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade fitting events that we've had. So generate a lot of buzz with our merchandising concessions and with our club fittings. So that's been exciting. We're rated good. Google rating's 4.5, which is a pretty strong rating in Google. It's hard to move that needle, but we're hoping to move it soon to 4.6. And as far as in our own company, Kemper Sports, we're one of the leaders from a true service, from our true review ratings that we get on a weekly basis. So that's something that we kind of brag about a little bit internally, and we're proud to say that we are delivering great service on top of the great course conditions. So improvements are still ongoing. We're going to continue to get better. We're not going to stay still. Restroom renovations were just completed, so that was a nice addition to the clubhouse. And we're just excited to start the new year with some rain, but it's going to get better from here, and we're looking forward to a good year.
Jeff, I gotta make the clerk happy. Just say your name for the record, because I didn't.
I didn't
get
say
you.
it?
No.
I'm sorry. Jeff Dayton with Cypress Head Golf Club.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
With that, all I can say is that we just finished the fiscal year. I look forward to next month's report so that you can tell us all about a record year.
It will be good. It will be a good report.
Council, questions? Good to hear. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You can bring Leslie next month, right?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
met her the other day.
Yes.
Fantastic addition.
Thank you.
Now, it's always suspect when you have the tax collector in the house, but item 20 is the State of Florida PACE program by Will Roberts, Volusia County Tax Collector. I asked Will to come today because he and I had a conversation, and some of you have had some of the input from that about the PACE program and some of the unintended consequences. It was passed here as a participant here in Port Orange just a few short years ago. There are 4 companies that are authorized to provide the services, and I don't like it when they don't do what they say they're going to do. And Will, it's all up to you. Tell us what you know.
Yes, Will Roberts, Volusia County Tax Collector, humble public servant. I consider myself your servant because I collect ad valorem for you. Yeah, the State of Florida PACE program is actually a well-intended program. It's what it does is it provides for solar panels, roofing replacement, window replacement, things like that. And how it gets repaid is by going on as a non-ad valorem assessment on your tax bill. Now this is where we're sending out tax bills next week or next month, and it's going to be, some of your residents are going to be paying more than double their original tax bill or their tax bill from this year.
That's because they've added solar panels?
Or got their roof replaced or got new windows.
Got it.
But they signed up for the program.
Correct.
Okay.
They did sign up for the program. Currently, there's, so I'll tell you, in 2022, there were 10 of them, and 18, there's 18 this year that'll be on the tax bill. So you added 8 more. So far this year, and this is just started from the beginning, there's been 7 more added that will already be on the 2024 tax roll. Now, here's where, and yes, Drew, they did sign up on their own accord. Now, most of the homeowners will probably tell you that they did not see a finance person in person because, so for this specific company, both of those are out of California. So
Gotcha.
so they get a phone call They, you know, it's easy access, so it's no credit check, this, that, and another. They know what's going on in your tax bill. It's a first lien. So the company is going to get their money. It goes above mortgages. That's how important this becomes.
That's
I
why they
I
wanna be on the
understand.
tax
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Once it goes on the tax bill, it becomes a first lien, and
Understood.
you know, the state of Florida has ways to get their money one way or the other, and the taxing authorities have their ways. So here's, and you know, I apply the law as it is told to me to do it by the property appraiser. When they give me the roll, I bill it, collect it, and then give it back to the taxing authority as it's given to me. Here's my observations. Most of the property owners on this list, like I said, more than double their tax bill. I don't think they realize when they're signing that financing agreement that their tax bill is going to more than double. The other thing that I'm observing is that with today's interest rates, everything's like 8.9, 9.9. I've even seen 10.49. When you do that over 30 years, you make one payment a year, you're paying more in interest than you actually financed. So this is actually a program for those that really can't afford a second mortgage or
Gotcha.
Bad
are
credit.
already getting down low on their funds. Maybe even a veteran, totally exempt veteran. I've seen those, and what's happening is their tax bill is going up immensely. So this is my observations. So this is what I'll say about this particular company, Florida PACE Funding Agency. This is a statewide issue, and this is what's been happening. They got a bond validation at the end of last year. They now perceive that they don't have to have an interlocal agreement with each city and or county that they operate in. They can operate statewide.
Oh.
And so here's the difference what's happened. So last year, this company alone, we had 99 total on the tax roll. We've been doing this for 13 years, since 2010. We had 99 on the tax roll last year. 40 of those were this specific company. This specific company, just since January 1 of this year, has added more than 240 to Volusia County residents. And most of those are in cities and or the county that do not have an interlocal agreement. So, and then here's the other observation. This specific company,
Brace yourself.
yeah, here's an Ormond Beach home, 2,000 square foot or less. They had an asphalt shingle roof replaced. More than $70,000 was financed.
How?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
principal cost, not the interest.
But how?
That's how much was financed. Correct.
You slide that thing, here you go, sign this, please.
Yeah.
Does that
So-
company have some sort of
So-
influence with roofers?
So
I'm
so
not-
this is what
Count on
this is
That
what
would be
I'm seeing
great.
is that contractors are using this program as a way to say, well, if you don't have the option, because they could finance it, they could get some other loan
Yeah.
somewhere else and finance
They
it.
could shop around and
They
get a
could shop around,
more
do
affordable
whatever,
roof.
but specifically this home, I did notice, because I looked it up on the property appraiser's website, it did have a blue roof, so probably Hurricane Ian came in and gave it a hole.
Sure.
And they, so maybe the contractor walked down the road and said, I see you have a blue roof, I can do that for you, and here's a program that won't charge you for the next 12 to 18 months. Here you go. We'll finance it this way. So they give all the, so this company acts as an intermediary between the contractor, the property owner, and the financing company. So, yeah. So my next example is in Edgewater, that does have an interlocal agreement, which I am going to collect. But again, it was Impact Windows. Again, the amount was more than $70,000 for Impact Windows. This is a 2,000 square foot home or less in Edgewater.
Are people taking more money than the construction costs?
Correct.
So they're using this like some kind of home equity loan,
Well,
but it's not.
See, that's the thing. That's what I cannot tell you what's happening with the money when the contractor says it's going to take $70,000 to replace your windows, and then they finance $70,000. Well, this gentleman in particular was a totally exempt veteran, so he's been paying $50 because Edgewater charges a $50 fire rescue non-ad valorem assessment. So he's been paying $50 for as long as he's been totally exempt. His property tax bill next year, or this in November, is going to be over $6,200 for the next 30 years.
So that, those
About a $500 a month
$70,000
payment.
overpriced windows are gonna end up costing them $180-something thousand.
Correct.
Wow.
He's going to pay way more in interest than he actually paid or financed.
Yeah.
Will, what
So
happens when they try to sell the house?
That's a good question. So, according to the agreements, or according to the assessments, they are not bound to the person, they're bound to the property. So, if somebody were to buy one of these homes and not realize that it's got the non-ad valorem
Wow.
assessment.
Wouldn't they have to disclose
They-
that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's on the tax bill, it's on the information.
Okay.
They'll see it
It's
every
part of the
year.
public
Yeah, it's
record.
available.
Okay.
But
But-
still, buyer beware, real estate agent beware.
Well,
Wow.
and here's the thing: most mortgage companies will not loan to people that want to, or for a home that has one of these assessments on it.
Because
They
it's
won't do
first.
it
It's a first
because it's a
right.
first lien
For-
over their lien, and they are not willing to do that.
So
Then you also have the situation where the lien was put into place before, and that property is they try to sell the property before the tax year ends, so they can
Yep.
run the public
Yep.
documents and they're unaware of the lien.
I just can't believe that. We did 9 windows at my house 3 years ago. It's $13,000.
they've gone up a lot. Like I just had an estimate, but you're talking 22, 24. Like
Yeah.
Well, and
Not
that's
70.
the thing. I actually know somebody in Edgewater that is getting windows replaced. They actually went through PACE to get it financed, but
Yeah.
they only charge them $21,000, and it's about a comparable house.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
21,000 is
Wow.
more realistic.
Yeah.
So am I reading this right, that there's one in Port Orange that their tax increase is gonna be 264%?
Correct. Yes, sir.
and they're gonna blame us.
No, they're
Well, and that's the thing. I'm already prepared to get the phone calls when people get their tax bill. So, Reed, on your point, I did observe one in the county where the financed amount was $45,000. The amount of the permit that was pulled was $34,000. Where'd that other $11,000 go? I don't know.
Better be a savings account for their
It-
tax bill.
It could, right, exactly. Or it could have went straight to the contractor's pocket.
Absolutely.
I don't know, and I cannot judge them. That is not my place. I'm neutral on that, but I just have to give you the observation.
The
Now-
conversation you and I had is that there are plenty of good actors out there, but there are
Right.
bad actors too.
Correct.
And we have approved four different vendors that we've approved, and a couple of them seem to be bad actors.
Right.
And I feel like our continued participation in a program, knowing that there are bad actors out there, I feel, that it would be irresponsible of us to continue to enable them to operate in Port Orange.
Well, I was getting ready to, I was gonna say, I really appreciate this presentation.
Yeah.
But then the question comes, what can we do? Yeah,
Well,
as
Well,
a
that'll be up to
council.
us.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we want to deauthorize the entire program? Do we want to deauthorize these two bad actors?
Right.
That becomes up to us. And what I wanted to do was make sure that we had this in an open forum and discussion where we can talk about that.
Gotcha.
And then give direction to staff to bring something back for us to take action
That's
on.
almost as bad as those payday advance loans. It's almost
Yeah.
that
It
bad.
is, but there's
Can they
also,
not
it's
shorten
also a
the
little bit
term?
unusual or tricky because you want your residents to
Right.
have as many options available. So
Right.
for some of them, they're out there, this may be the only option they have.
Right.
And so it's just that, it's simply an option, it's not.
If it's the
Right.
only option they have to replace a roof, there's a level of desperation,
Yeah.
but it's up to
Well-
us to make sure that nobody's taking advantage of that level of desperation.
Agreed.
Well, and what I'll there's two more things I want to mention. The first thing is that, there was a Habitat for Humanity home in Daytona Beach. That, and the way Habitat for Humanity works, they're the mortgager. And yeah, so there was a home that got approached, contractor assessed, and will be on, well, it won't be on the tax bill because it's in the city of Daytona Beach. And we did just have a legal court case that upheld the property appraiser's position that they're not legitimate, and so therefore will not be on the tax bill because they're in the city of Daytona Beach, which does not have an interlocal agreement. So, yes, but it's things like that. The ladies at the Habitat for Humanity, when I told them that, they were very unhappy, and they used the words predatory lending. So, the other things that I've seen and observed, and I did send a copy to Tracy today, our mailers are going out. I got 2 at the end of August, and then 2 more came out last weekend. They're very, they're very aggressive. They're talking about they're a new government program. It's allowed in Volusia County. It's available, and you can apply for talking about the roof. You can apply through My Safe Florida Home or My Florida Safe Home, one of the two. It's through the CFO of the state of Florida, but they do offer $10,000 grant for roof replacement. So if you have residents that need a new roof, they can apply for that program. So just letting you know about that program as well.
It's good to know that there are options for them.
Yeah. But they are being very aggressive. I even have an employee that lives in Port Orange where a contractor, allegedly, stepped on her property and was being very aggressive to the point where she had to ask this person to leave because they wanted to go on her roof and say, tell her what was wrong with her roof that needed to be replaced. And I'm like, that's not safe.
No, it's not, and that also brings up a different point that I wanted to make sure that everybody understands publicly. When somebody comes to your door and says that you've got a dangerous tree or a dangerous roof and ask them to see their solicitation permit. They are not allowed to be at your door without a solicitation permit. It's in the car. Well, go get it. It's like, well, I'll get it later. No, I'm not going to talk to you. Ask them to produce a solicitation permit. The City of Port Orange will issue them to the proper people. They're not allowed and if you have somebody that is belligerent about it, call our police department on the non-emergency line. We'll be happy to check them out, because I guarantee you, if they're going door to door and you turn them down, they will find somebody. If they don't belong in our neighborhoods, we'll make sure that we enforce our code with a solicitation permit. But all you gotta do is ask somebody who comes to your door, you do have your solicitation permit with you. Can you present that to me before we talk any further? That gives you a level of protection, because that means that person.
And the permit would be just that, a permit, not an ID card. They can show you an ID card and say, oh yeah, here, this is who I work That's not the way that works. It's an actual permit that they applied for and they're permitted to solicit.
What, hey, just a note on that, because this comes up a lot.
True.
While we do have a permitting process, and I see Robin looking at me, she knows where I'm gonna go with this.
Yeah.
If you live in a community in Port Orange that has a homeowners association, and your community is posted no soliciting, that permit is not valid in that
True.
community. We have over 70 HOAs in Port Orange. So in most communities in Port
Most of
Orange,
them. Right.
the solicitation permit means nothing because it is not valid in your neighborhood.
Right.
So that question comes up quite a bit. I know in my neighborhood, they'll say, well, you know, they did have a permit. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The permit is not valid in those neighborhoods.
Or they'll name drop, oh, so-and-so
Right,
from the
so-
association said to come knock on doors.
Right.
You know, no.
I do want to tell
Yeah,
you
they have
one.
Sunbiz too.
I do want to give you one other stat. So, you were talking about the other three. There's three other main PACE agencies that operate here in Volusia County.
Yeah.
Yeah, between those, there's less than 15. That just tells you the level of aggressiveness that this one company, Florida PACE Funding Agency, has gone to. 241 versus less than 15 for the rest of the three.
And well, I'm looking at the list you provided for our city and seeing 30-year terms, 20-year terms.
Correct.
And I'm looking at the address and I know some of those houses are 30, maybe 40 years old in
Right.
some cases.
Right.
And then they're gonna, if they've been there a long time, they could owe 30, some of these are just coming on board in 23, they're gonna owe until the 53s and their house could already be paid for.
Right.
And
Right.
another thing I noticed too, there was one rate that was 0.99%. Everything else is 6, 8, and even approaching 10%.
Right. And that, so that,
That's
so
another
speaking of that, talking about the mortgage companies,
Yeah.
they don't have to notify the mortgage companies.
Oh.
Yes.
So you might,
So
your escrow might not be adjusted.
Who
So,
determines the
right,
term?
so-
The company or the homeowner? They're choosing, I mean, some people chose 5-year terms I
Right.
see, and some are 30.
Well, and that's dependable, you know, that just
Okay.
depends on what they
Gotcha.
negotiate. But what's interesting too is right now, you know, the way the state of Florida and insurance is,
Okay.
you know, the roof, you know, a new roof is supposed to, you know, the term of the, you know, agreement or assessment is not supposed to go past the useful life of the product. And here in the state of Florida, if you got a 15-year-old roof, some insurance companies are going to tell you, you need to replace it.
Yep.
And there's people that have financed roofs for 30 years. So,
That happened to me in 2017.
You can
Insurance company
amortize
said,
the loan
"Replace it."
longer than a
And I
lifetime.
mean, we just paid for it, but yeah, I had
Right.
a roof, yeah, 5, 6 years ago.
right?
Now, there are things that make sense. If you're putting solar panels on
Yeah.
your roof and you get them at the right price and you're amortizing it over the life of those solar panels, and you sell your house and the next person is able to get the enjoyment out of them, and they'll be paying for them too, but you account for that in the sale price. There are things that make sense.
Sure.
I understand the desperation of needing a new roof, but I will never, ever, ever understand or accept predatory practices. I just won't.
Crazy.
I just won't. What other information do you have for us?
That's it. I mean,
Let me
that's
get-
all I wanted to present. And
Let me
I-
go through the panel, and
Yeah,
because I know there'll
absolutely.
be more
Yes,
questions.
absolutely.
Drew, did you have any more right now? You want me to come back to you?
I don't really have, just a statement, I'm shocked that they're actually getting, I get it, but people are signing up for this. That in no way is it a
Right.
good deal, but I understand too, some are desperate and it might
Correct.
be the only course of action, but oh my gosh.
I don't
it's-
want to take the option away, but I do want to take the bad actors away.
Yes.
Agreed, yeah.
Scott, what you got?
No, just thanks for coming, Will. Appreciate
Yeah,
having you here.
absolutely.
Always a
Glad
pleasure.
to be here. Always supportive anytime you need me.
Just very thankful for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Tracy?
You're blown away by the information. I mean,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much, because it's, like everybody up here feels and sees this, it's just a few bad apples can mess up a fantastic program.
Right. And that's the thing about the State of Florida PACE program. For those that use it and they get good interest rates and they get a new roof or they get new windows and they've long time needed it or need it, you know, it's a good program.
Particularly right now when those things with
Correct.
rising costs of homeowners
Right.
insurance can affect positively the cost of.
Right.
With that, I'm going to give instruction to the city manager in consultation with the city attorney to bring language back to us on a future agenda for the, to discuss, so that we can discuss revocation of Florida PACE funding agency's right to operate in Port Orange. Can we do that?
Yes.
Thank you, Wayne.
All right.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you as always.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
my
you very
friend,
much for having me.
and appreciate you taking the time to do this. Well done.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Board interviews and appointments, item 21, Environmental Advisory Board. We have an opening and we have one applicant, Mr. Eric Gregory. Do we have a nomination?
I nominate Eric Gregory.
Second.
We have a nomination and a second. Mr. Gregory, how are you, sir?
Good evening.
Why don't you tell us why you want this high-paying job?
Well, I grew up here in Port Orange, longtime resident, over 40 years. And I've seen the city grow tremendously. I mean, where I'm standing now, we used to swim here as a kid, you know, so I've definitely seen this place grow. And I know we can't stop the growth, you know, there's laws in place that, you know, all these buildings and apartments that are being built, it's just something that we can't stop. But we can help with the environmental impact of all the people we're bringing into the city. And that's one of the big things that I'm seeing, you know, growing up. You know, we need more green areas. Councilman Grubb speaking of the trails and things of that nature, those are going to coincide with Parks and Recreation, just different things that I know we can do for, you know, for the future of the city.
Agreed.
Thank you for your interest to serve.
Thank you.
Council, you got any questions for him? Nope. All right. Do we have any other nominations? I'll ask 3 times according to Robert's Rules of Order. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? With that, nominations are closed. We have one nomination for one appointment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any naysayers? You'll love our benefits program. The benefit of serving.
I brought my own. I'm looking forward to it.
There you go.
Perfect.
Mr. Gregory,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Eric. That brings us to item 22, Police Pension Board appointments. We have one person,
I'll move to reapprove,
Brian Cobb.
a motion to reappoint Brian Cobb to the Police Pension Board.
I'll second that. I served on that board, and he's been an excellent asset to the operation of that board. Good guy.
There's a motion, a proper second. Let me just add that I am very enthused to be able to see his expertise because he works in personal finance. And I think every pension board should have somebody on it that has expertise in personal finance, and we're grateful to have his service, and we're grateful to have him wanting to continue to serve. So we have one nomination in. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? No other nominations? Nominations are now closed. Any other comments on the nominee? There being none, all in favor of reappointing Brian Cobb, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No naysayers. He is rehired. That brings us to the public hearing portion of the meeting. Public hearing on second reading of ordinance number 2023-13, which is the Fourth Amendment to the Master Development Agreement Conceptual Development Plan for the Pavilion at Port Orange Planned Commercial Development. And that is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Fourth Amendment to the Master Development Agreement for the Pavilion at Port Orange Planned Commercial Development and the Conceptual Development Plan, providing repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve item 23.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve ordinance number 2023-13 on second reading. The item is now open on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions?
We hashed it out pretty good last time.
No, we did. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Final comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. Motion passes. That brings us to first reading of ordinance number 2023-15, implementing the state statutory mandate to prepare business impact statements pursuant to section 166.041 of the Florida statutes. Ordinance number 2023-15 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, creating sections 2-4 to implement the state's statutory mandate to prepare business impact estimates prior to adoption of proposed ordinances pursuant to section 166.041-4 of the Florida statutes, providing for codification, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve item 24.
Second.
We have a motion proper second to approve on first reading ordinance number 2023-15. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who's presenting on this one?
There's no formal presentation. It's fairly straightforward state statute. The new law requires us to provide these business economic impacts. For certain ordinances, the summary sheet goes through what's exempt from it, but out of caution, we're going to include them in ordinances. They'll be shorter on the ones that are exempt, but we're going to include these in all future ordinances going forward in order to comply with the new state law.
So the city ordinance is in compliance with something we're required to by the state. Council comments or questions?
Is the criteria set by the state, or is it?
It is.
Like,
You can
to-
see
to
we
pro-
put a summary in there. You essentially, what does it cost them to comply? Are there any fees associated with
Okay.
it? What does it cost us to enforce it? So you've kind of got to go through and analyze those for every ordinance that you do. It exempts your basic budget ordinances and zoning ordinances that you
Yeah.
do, but others that might have a business impact, you would have to do that.
Okay, understood.
Any other comments?
No, sir.
Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Final comments or questions? If none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now closed. That brings us to the regular agenda, item 25, which is resolution number 2351. This is one that I penned myself on in opposition to the proposed construction of the Belvedere Fuel Farm that I penned in consultation with what the Volusia League of Cities has already done. Resolution 2351 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, in opposition to the proposed construction of the Belvedere Fuel Farm near Ormond Beach in the unincorporated area of Volusia County at or about 874 Hole Road, Ormond Beach, Florida. May I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve resolution number 23-51.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions? The only comment I have is that I stand, I'd like to say that we all stand proud with our sister city in Ormond Beach
Of
in
course.
opposition to this
Yeah.
and the implications that it can have on the neighborhood and the people who live there. We wouldn't want it in our city, and I surely don't want it
Yeah.
for them. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to council. Final comments? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Item 26, discussion of legislative priorities for 2024, and that's coming up very fast. Wayne, what have you got for us?
Assistant Manager Fenwick's got a presentation for you on this. So if you remember last year, it was her first week in the job when she did this presentation. So she's now a one-year veteran in this
Yeah.
role.
So you should fly right through this now.
Still no questions. Just listen.
Okay.
Just
Hey, it worked last year.
Hold
We're
on
not
a
gonna-
sec. Hold on a
Just
second.
kidding. All right.
Getting a little comfortable, are we?
No,
Robin, what do you have for us?
Still nervous again. But we're going to do it. All right. So good evening. Robin Fenwick, Assistant City Manager. We're going to talk about the legislative priorities. And I'll provide an overview of the projects that staff has identified to be submitted for legislative appropriation consideration this year. So as part of the legislative process, staff continues to work with Pittman Law Group, which is our lobbyist, as well as the Florida League of Cities and several other professional organizations to establish a list of bills that the city may decide to support or oppose But for tonight's discussion, we're going to talk about those appropriation requests to the state, which are projects that we want them to help fund. And so obviously, when you guys visit and create those relationships with our representatives, that helps the entire legislative process. So we thank you for that and encourage you to continue. So as you can see, our regular session starts early in 2024. We start they start January 9th of 24. And Wayne, Juno, and I will be going up to visit Tallahassee in November to meet with key legislative staff and budget leaders to just to start talking to them about the technical issues. And then Sean Pittman with Pittman Law Group will determine what date's best for you guys to, whoever wants to go have some fun in Tallahassee, go visit with the elected officials. We're guessing probably mid to late January.
I wouldn't classify that as fun, but it's
Fun.
But
It's
it's
so fun.
necessary.
It's fun.
It's necessary.
We have fun wherever we go. All right. So this is my favorite slide, just because of that 2023. Very excited that we got $3.5 million appropriated from the state for 2 of the projects that we submitted out of the 3. So as you can see, 2.5 million for the sewer force main river crossing project, and another 1 million for water main improvement project in the Commonwealth and US 1 area. So, and then you can see some of the others in previous years.
Robin, has Sean Pittman been our liaison the whole time since 2017?
Oh, yeah.
Our representative?
Yeah. I think even before that.
That's some
He's-
impressive ROI right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we'll go through these 4 projects, but what I didn't put in this presentation is this year we're asking for 8.8. Yeah. I went big.
Maybe we should ask for 12.
I mean,
we could change the funding.
even if we get half, that would be huge.
Right? It's an automatic no if you don't ask, so.
Absolutely.
All right, so Wade and I met with Sean recently to discuss what types of projects he expects to be of interest this year, and really no different from last year. And we typically focus on some of these top ones, which is infrastructure, water projects, environmental, but of course, back-to-back hurricanes last year, so recovery and resiliency is a top one as well, which is what our projects focus on mostly, but they're also water projects. So as we begin looking at the projects in the next few slides, and what we really want to present to the legislators is they look for a couple of things. One is that it's construction ready. So all of our projects are construction ready, and they look for a match to make sure that there's a match. They want some skin in the game, as we often say. Typically that's 50% match or more. Doesn't have to be city funding. We can get other grants. We like using other people's money as much as possible. So again, these 4 projects we're about to talk about are in our CIP and construction ready. So and now we're going to get into the technical stuff that's not me. So we have people here to help us answer any questions if you guys have any. So the first one is the wastewater lift station improvement resiliency project. It's a mouthful, but this is, as you know, our city has 119 lift stations that play a key role in the collection and transmission of over 7 million gallons per day of sanitary sewer for treatment. 70 of those lift stations were either without power or flooded during the 2022 hurricanes. This project will elevate the lift station at Ocean Avenue, add an on-site bypass pump at Ocean Avenue as well, and Christian C. Drive, and also upgrade the electrical components and other items at Williamson Boulevard. These 3 lift stations collect and transmit approximately 3 million of that 7 million gallons per day. Serves about 10% of our city's population, about 6,000 residents and businesses. So we're requesting half of that 3.15 in funding. All right, next one is stormwater system rehabilitation pipelining project. This is one that we actually requested money for last year, but did not get funding. We do on a regular basis. You guys budget $350,000 annually for this project. We actually upped it this year to $500,000, and so we're asking them to match it with $500,000. So so these pictures are a before and after of a pipe on 5th Street. So you can see the before is the top one, obviously, where there's some roots overgrown and the corrugated metal has deteriorated. The bottom picture is the lining that we look to do in these types of projects, and it opens it up and hopefully makes the water flow easier and quicker through there. So again, this project will assist in accelerating the city's ongoing efforts to repair or replace all of the 30-plus-year-old corrugated metal stormwater pipes. We have about 25 miles left to do, and of course, to help reduce flooding throughout the city. This corrugated metal pipe can fail in our coastal climate, causing voids in the roadways and allowing dirt into the stormwater system. So this focuses on more resiliency by reducing the number of breaks and improving the stormwater conveyance. Next one is the Water Reclamation Facility Generator Replacement Project. This is our third project that we submitted. So the backup generator replacement is needed due to its age, which is 27 years, and numerous failures. Due to these breakdowns and the lack of available parts, we are currently using a less efficient used generator because DEP requires a backup generator for sewer plants. This helps ensure that the system can operate despite power failures. So replacing the aging and unreliable generator is not only a matter of maintaining operational efficiency, but also a critical step in ensuring the plant's ability to provide public health, meet environmental regulations, and respond to emergencies. The generators, as you can see in that circle, it's not your home generator that you get from Lowe's. It's actually about 100 of those. They come in on flatbed trucks, and they're quite large. All right, last but not least, the Water Reclamation Facility Filter Rehabilitation Project. So this project involves replacing the deep bed sand filter, which is a critical component of the treatment process and provides several essential purposes, including the removal of suspended solids, turbidity reduction, and nutrient removal. This filter is over 25 years old, and the valves, pumps, and some other components within the filter have deteriorated and need to be replaced. This project is part of a full plant upgrade and is for the complete mechanical and electrical all-in-one rehabilitation. Okay. So with that, if you guys have any questions, those are the projects we look to submit to the legislators this year. And
Infrastructure.
8.88.
Council, what have you got? Do we have any objections to these requests?
Heck, no.
No objections. I do have a question. We're going for $500,000 on the pipes, the lining of the pipes. And it says we have 25 miles left. Just trying to figure out how many miles per $100,000 or something. Do we have any idea what we get?
I think it varies, right? It's not consistent because it depends on the condition of them. Can they be lined? Do they have to be replaced? What level of engineering is needed? Do you have to just pull them out? So it's not a consistent cost per mile.
Okay. Do we know how many miles or
we were estimating about
last year?
10 years that it would take to finish the 25 at the rate we're going with the variances that are in there. And so if they're doubling it up, we're doubling the speed of the project.
Okay.
My question, when we the corrugated pipe, typically those convey stormwater or runoff or whatever. When we reinforce it and reline it, how long does it last? Is it another perhaps 30 years? Or is it a short term?
25, 30
No, it's
years?
longer.
Yeah,
Okay.
25, 30 years.
Okay, so it's, in a sense, it's virtually as good as a new pipe without having to
Tear up the
as
roads and
many
everything.
Much
construction
easier.
impact.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Can it be relined again, or is it one time and then it's got to be replaced?
One and done lining, or not sure. Got to get back to you.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let you know.
Okay. But yeah, it makes sense if it needs done.
Yeah.
If we can get assistance financially, why not?
25 years from now, they may have a whole
Yeah,
new technology.
yeah, for sure.
It's almost like stormwater is a
Yeah.
priority for this council.
Ooh, we got the expert.
I don't know if it's that, I'm really an expert.
Whoa. Who are you again, sir?
Yep.
Thomas Delio, Public Works Director, City of Port Orange, first time,
You haven't,
welcome.
I was gonna say, you haven't had a chance to do that yet.
No, from afar,
Yeah.
it's a lot nicer from that side. The pipelining depends, the diameter. We don't want to shrink it too much where
Sure.
we hurt the flow.
Yeah,
So it just depends. Usually about 25, 30 years, maybe longer
excellent.
for the fixtures.
Very cool.
The pipes themselves, it depends on the pricing for the size, the thickness, the mill. So we can give you that breakdown information.
I have a question for you, Robin. I would just a comment that in the past, the St. John's Water Management District has been very supportive and vocal of our reclaimed water facility efforts and what we have done as a city and kind of being a leader. And I would strongly encourage us to seek their support for those projects and their endorsement, basically, because they've kind of held us up, and we're proud of that, and we shouldn't forget that. And I think, you know, I know when you go to Tallahassee, that's a big name up there. And when you can get that organization behind maybe some of your products, even if it's just a letter of endorsement to endorse what we do and how responsible we've been and the gains we've made as a regional leader in those things, that maybe that could help us gain some favor on that. So I would just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I did forget to mention, speaking of the funding, so the generator is to have a backup generator is required by DEP, and they are who we usually get that funding from when we go. So we're hoping that this kind of ties into one of their strong initiatives. So, yeah.
And that's arguably one of the most expensive things
Oh,
that
yeah.
we're doing.
That's like almost 10 million itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a bad year to be asking for, and probably a great year to be asking for a large appropriation, because right now this is the last year where leadership, the budget chair is a local representative, and the Speaker of the House is from Flagler County, and they work very closely together. Since they are part of a local delegation, this is a great year to make these kind of requests. As good a year as we're ever going to get, so well done.
Thanks. And just a little caveat, we've submitted some of this to Sean Pittman already, so if he gives us feedback on, suggestions for changes or ask for less, more, whatever, that, we may do that as well, but
Always in flux.
just wanted to kind of give you guys an update and let you know where we're at.
Very good. Anything else, council, on this? Are we all in agreement? Okay. Would anyone here from the public care to speak to the item? There being none, I think council has a consensus. Wayne, go get it.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it. There you go.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to city attorney report.
Nothing.
You know what? You get just as good a report as Matt does. Well done.
Who's that?
The city manager report?
I keep trying to find at least one thing. So Art House has moved to the rec, so they've got a brand new building. They left the building back there. It's part of the property that is under contract to be sold to Bristol. As we started examining the cost of maintaining it during this period while we're waiting on the sale to close, it's going to probably cost us more money to keep it maintained, keep people out of it, and than it would be to demolish it and clear the lot. So we have the consensus of the Bristol people. They don't care if we tear it down. We got a quote under 10 grand. So if it's okay with council, we will go ahead and take the Art House building down, clear the lot, and seed it so that we don't have any maintenance costs on it.
Excellent.
I don't have a problem with that. Before we give you consensus, I just would like to see it as an agenda item, since you're asking for consensus on something like that.
I don't really need your formal permission. I
Well,
just was asking if you.
Are you saying you can do it under your spending authority?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I know better than to do these things without telling you, because the day you start seeing bulldozers knocking it down, I get in trouble. So, and it's
I
not
think we
required
all
to
agree
be.
it's something to do. I just, that it needs done. I just want to make sure that we're
The
doing it right from
the
a
longer that we take to
notification
do that, the quotes.
And it also
I gotta-
makes sense from a community perspective not to have an unattended defunct
Yeah.
building that the police department's got to worry about and people getting in there and stuff like that.
We got a pretty good price on
Okay.
it, so we went out and found the lowest we could get. And
Okay, go make it
5 or
happen.
6 grand less than what we started with.
Take it then.
Anything else from the city manager?
No, sir.
There being none, before we get into city council committee reports, we have some guests here tonight. We have a lot of guests here tonight. Barbara, you want to tell us who you brought with you? Barbara Ann Hegan from the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber is going to tell us who she brought with her tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We have our leadership class of 2023. These are area leaders from our top employers and small businesses and from our cities, and we are just thrilled to have them over the next 10 weeks. We've already into week 4. Last week we had Government Week, which we were so grateful to have you, Mayor, as well as Wayne Clark present. And we're just here today to listen and support the city of Port Orange, and grateful for all that you do for us. And I'm grateful to these leaders behind me. So if they could kindly stand to be recognized. Thank you so
All
very
right.
much for all that you do.
I'm going to tell
Thank you guys
y'all,
for all coming out.
don't go anywhere, because when we're done, we want to take a picture, and we're nearly done. So don't go anywhere.
Standing.
All right.
Thank you for having us this evening.
Thank you all for being here this evening. City Council Committee reports, River to Sea TPO, Vice Mayor Reed Foley. What you got for us, Reed?
I actually was unable to attend the meeting, so I missed that one.
Okay, catch us up later. Art House.
Art House, got to attend my first meeting finally
You're a
today.
deep building now.
Yeah, I was really excited about it. Art House has their 27th annual Fun and Funky fundraiser coming up on October 27th at the Hard Rock. You can get tickets to that by registering at arthouse.com, ARTHAUS. You cannot buy them online. You have to register ahead of time, and then you'll pay at the door. And since we have a bunch of local business leaders in here, they're still looking for in-kind donations, which obviously are tax-free if you're able to do so. And literally, whether you're in person or at home or watching online, every little bit helps them. Whether it's a $25 gift card to your restaurant, or even if there's some people doing $100 off of a boat charter or something like that. So every little bit helps. They're having a challenge this year that they usually do this event in April. And instead it's falling on the same time they do Family Days, where they have this awesome exhibit of all these chalk people. They come from all over the state of Florida, and they're going to be doing chalk drawings right here at City Center during Family Days. But those two events happening at once have kind of split some of the sponsorship they usually get for the two events, because they're usually 6 months apart, and instead they're on top of each other. So they really need some of those in-kind donations. And again, they are tax-free. You can see me, or you can reach out to someone there at arthouse.com, and they'll happily take anything you got.
They also kind of cajoled me into judging the Sidewalk Art Festival during, that's always,
I think
like, they're all so good. I'm like, I got to choose which, oh man.
How many years in a row have they cornered you, Don?
I don't know. With that, a couple of items I just want to remind. Scott brought it up earlier. Yes, Family Days is coming up next weekend. Looking forward to that. I want to thank I was about to say property appraiser, the tax collector, Will Roberts, for giving us his time this evening and sharing some very important information. Barbara Ann from the Chamber and bringing her leadership class. And of course, we have our citizen watchdogs all throughout the council chamber. More than anything, we're appreciative of all of y'all. Everybody have a good night. We'll do it again in 2 weeks.